And we're live. Painkiller Nearly, episode 159. It's a lot of Painkiller
So,
Nearlies.
so my sleep schedule has been really messed up lately, and Chiz has been going right along with me with the fucked up sleep schedule. And every night we both attempt to do the same thing, where you roll it all the way over again. You stay up until like 9, 10 p.m. and you go to bed. You wake up at 7 a.m. and you're like, "Holy shit, I'm an adult." And we've been failing at it pretty hard. And last night, I thought maybe I was going to get
Just
there.
real quick, what are your times been?
I'd
Like your bed. And
Oh, no, you gotta say. You can't have this story and not say.
Well, it bounces around.
I'm just trying to get.
Okay, yeah, it bounces around, but here's like last night. All right, so let's just roll back to like yesterday. I woke up I didn't go to sleep, so I stayed up all night, and then it got to 2:30 p.m. and I was like, I can't. I'm not going to be able to roll it over. I'm not going to be able to roll it over. And so at 2:30 p.m. I went to sleep yesterday. Woke up at 10:30 p.m. So
you got a good solid 8 hours.
8
I
hours.
don't see a problem.
Yeah. Got my sleep in, right? And so from 10:30, I'm staying up, and it gets to about 4 in the morning, maybe 3:30 in the morning, and I start getting drowsy, and I'm like, oh, all right, I might be able to parlay this into a normal sleep schedule. If I go to bed at 4 a.m. and I wake up at like 11 a.m., a little short on sleep, but shit, 7 hours, right? Like that'll be fine. Then I'll stay up all day.
You just woke up from an 8-hour slumber 6 hours prior.
But I felt like I could do it because I felt like I could do it. I was really tired. I worked out at like midnight or something like that until I was just real sore, and then took a hot shower, and then just kind of I got new blankets, new bedding. We're getting way off the rails here with this story, but anyway, I thought I could do it. I go to bed at like 3:30, 3 in the morning, something like that, and I have this dream. And so I'm in like a national park, walking along a creek bed. And as I go, I'm finding like old tools and stuff. That's a commonality in a lot of my dreams. I'm like scavenging things. Like I'll find cool stuff. Like sometimes it's an abandoned house, and I'm like, oh, look at all this stuff that's been left here. And I'm like gathering it with me as I go. So I have all these tools, these drill bits that are really old, and I have this long knife that looks like it's made out of an old-timey file. It's about 18 inches long and rusty, and with a wooden handle. And I'm like, oh yeah, all this stuff is cool. Walking down the creek bed, step on a fish hook, and I can't get the fish hook out of my foot. When I try to like pull it back out, it's barbed, and I'm limping now through the creek bed. And up ahead, I hear voices, and I can see a boy. He's about 13 years old, little blonde-haired boy, down the bend in the creek. And though I can't see it, I know, because it's a dream, that he's there with his father, and they have their pickup truck right there. And I'm like, Dad and his son fishing. These guys can get a fish hook out. I bet he's even got the
Do you know you're dreaming at this point? Like, is it lucid or no?
Not yet. But I have an inkling about that, about mid-dream, because it gets so crazy. So I see the boy, and I'm walking toward him, and I look down, just so you know, I look in the creek that's maybe 6 inches deep, and there are snakes in the creek, little baby snakes that are really scaring me, and I'm just trying to walk around them and stuff, and just then I look up, and the boy sees me, and I kind of wave at him, and his gaze moves from me up and to the right, because there's a hilltop to my left. And whatever he can see, I can't see it. And he's looking up there kind of bemused, and then the boy's head explodes. There's a man on that hilltop with a rifle, and he has shot this child, and the head has exploded. And I am aghast. I am just... But I don't scream, because there's a murdering motherfucker up the hill, right? So I'm just like, oh my God. So I get on my hands and knees and start kind of crawling in the water. And now the water has gotten deep enough that like it's waist deep, I would say. And I hear footsteps coming down the creek bed. The murdering crazy man is coming, following the tracks that I just made. And so like there are reeds and stuff in the creek. So I take a deep breath and I go underwater. And it's a dream, so I can hold my breath forever. And there's reeds all around me, and I can see through the water like it's a swimming pool. And here this guy comes walking straight towards me. And I can't move quickly to get out of his path. So I'm just barely moving to like not make any ripples to get out of the path of this man. And he passes within inches of me. I can feel the wake as he walks right past me toward this dead child. And I'm just terrified. I've got my big crazy knife, but the guy has a deer rifle. And so I let him pass, and I walk sort of in the same direction he is, because I have to go that way. That's the way out. But I make a left turn, and I go in a different direction than he was going. and then I run up on a 16-year-old boy who I know is the killer's accomplice. He's with him because he's crazy-eyed, wearing flannel shirts, 16 or 17, smaller than me. I could take him, but he's got a knife too. He's got like a 6-inch hunting knife, and he's just looking at me all crazy, and then he throws the knife at me, and I dodge the knife, and I just run. I just run away, start running from him, and he runs away.
You could have had 2 knives, and he
Yes.
could have had none.
At this
Fuck
point, I
that.
like your odds.
No,
Yeah.
I am not. We're 40 yards from his dad. There's just brush and trees between me and his killer dad. And so he starts yelling for help. Paul, I got another one. They're cannibals. They're fucking woodsman cannibal hillbillies.
This
Paul,
changes
there's
it 'cause
another one.
How
I
did
thought
you
I
know they
had
were
done my
cannibals?
dream analysis. I thought I had completed. Clearly, Kyle's a pedophile, and he wants to blow his load on some kid's face, right? You're working with me so far.
Okay,
And
Freud.
and the
Ah.
old man walking by and Kyle's fear of it is him not wanting to admit it.
No.
See,
So
it
this-
worked.
I-
He didn't want to admit it. Locked
I
in.
don't want to get off track here.
Okay.
So I start running.
Wait, but Kyle, how did you know they were cannibals, or was it a dream thing where you're just like cannibals and you started running?
I just, you
And
know,
he's like, I'm
because
gonna eat you.
there was none of that. Like they weren't like eating like a drumstick with fingers or anything. Like I just know, right?
Mhm.
Like the same way I knew that the boy was with his father. I just knew, you know, because it's a
part
dream.
of the dream. Yeah.
Dream
It's part of the
insight.
dream. They want me badly though. I'm tasty, right? I'm lean. I probably tender. So he runs back to get his dad. I start running, continuing on my path, and I come upon 3 ATVs that are parked there. So I'm, oh my God, there's fucking 3 of them. So I get on one of these 4-wheelers and I'm, it's got an electric start. And I start driving away in this thing. But it won't go very fast, maybe 20, 25 miles per hour. And I'm making my escape and I hear their ATVs crank up. And the third one has now appeared. He's a fat guy, maybe somewhere in between the 16-year-old and the dad in age. And so the boy and the fat guy have doubled up on a 4-wheeler, and the dad's on a 4-wheeler, and they are chasing me, and they have guns. And so I'm trying to get away, but it's going so fucking slow, and they're shooting at me occasionally, which is terrifying. And I realize I'm going down like a dead end, so I have to kind of make like a turn and go right back past them. And the guy takes another shot at me with this single shot shotgun, and I dodge it, you know,
As you do.
as you do. And at that point, I'm terrified. And I remember in the dream, I close my eyes and I go 3, 2, 1, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I open my eyes, and they're just like still coming. So I have my eyes closed, so I wreck right into a fucking tree. Bam! I hit the tree, and there's a grizzly bear, feet away, like a dozen feet away. They crash into the tree right next to me, and the impact throws the fat guy off, and he kind of rolls a few feet down an embankment, slightly injured. The bear falls upon the fat guy and starts ripping him to shreds. The 16-year-old starts fighting me, even though we're like parked side by side on ATVs. So we're like we're sitting on ATVs fighting. And I take this knife and I stab him in the face at a really poor angle for him. It goes in the skin and then out the skin and then out in his nose and then out his nose. And he's just screaming. I pull it out and I stab him again in the ribs and again in the thigh and then again in the leg again. And he's fucked. So now now I'm trying to get this thing started as I've stabbed one of these guys all fucked up and the bear's mauling the other. And just as I get the thing start, it's clucking. It's and I look and the dad is right there, right in front of my ATV, and he's got the gun. And just as he's about to kill me, the ATV goes, and I pop the clutch and I run him the fuck over. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh, I got to tell somebody about this. And sure enough, Chiz is online. I think what woke me up was Chiz's Skype like chirp because he had like written me something random.
Jesus.
Fucking
That I think I mean Woody's analysis definitely has merit, but I think that you might have a lot of stress in your life.
No, I have like
and then the cannibals were coming, and then a bear showed up. But to be fair, the bear helped you, and so
Oh,
the
the
bear
bear
might
saved
be
the day.
some kind of guardian. You know, maybe you see that bear as a father bear. You know, maybe that's
I don't know, if I
dad.
have a bear in my dream, I assume it's Taylor. Right? Who else would it be?
I would have gone for the fat guy too if I were the bear in Kyle's dream. Makes sense. I don't know anything about dream analysis for the most part, other than most people say like it's kind of bunk and ridiculous, but also it can reveal some things. But yeah, I haven't had a nightmare like that in a long time, and I certainly don't. Maybe it's because you wrote it down afterwards, so you're able to regale us with it very in detail. But I don't think I've ever remembered that much about a dream more than 3 minutes after waking up, because you know how it is when you wake up from a bad dream. Like, it'll make it until I get in the shower, which is like 2 minutes after I get out of bed. Yeah. And then by the time I'm rinsing shampoo out of my hair, I'm like, what the hell was that about? Like, wait, what happened? I guess it was nothing, whatever.
Why is it immediately after you woke up, it's burned into your brain, totally vivid and very important to you. And within like 15 minutes, whatever.
Well, because your brain is experiencing those things, and it doesn't know they're fake. So it's traumatized when you wake up. Just like that time you dreamt that Jackie cheated on you or something of that nature. You're like, you wake up and you're mad at Jackie. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Your brain,
you could do that.
You have the same exact brain chemistry going on as a man who had experienced that for real. And part of this dream I know was influenced by it. Remember that thing I linked you to the other day, Woody, where the guy went out into the wilderness with his own tools? And like built the cabin on his own.
Yeah. That was
the
really
tools
cool.
I were finding were his tools.
That's right.
The tools I were finding were, because I found the drill bits that he made the wood handle for. I had all of that stuff. I got rid of that once it was like do or die, and I just kept the knife. But like that was influencing that part. And I had been watching I've been watching all kinds of stuff. I watched like 3 movies that night before I fell asleep. So I don't know.
Yeah,
too much. And I also had like some Jim and Sam.
Specific.
Yeah, I had a YouTube video playing like in the background as I was sleeping, but it was like Jim Norton and Sam Roberts like just making fun of Lady Di. So it's like,
I don't want Jim Norton playing as I'm sleeping because I'll just wake up meaner. Like I'll wake up and I'll see.
Yeah.
In a very funny way. Like it's just because he's the most quick-witted person on earth. Like in all sincerity, in all seriousness, if there was a quick-wittedness contest, I would put Jim Norton. He's quicker than anyone else on earth.
There are people who are mean. Like Howard Stern, I think, is mean. He has guests on, and he doesn't always have his guest's best interest in mind, right? And then, of course, he's very mean to his whole whack pack. Opie can be mean. Anthony can be mean. I haven't watched Opie very much. Jim Norton, though, when I see him, he's with Matt Serra, and he's not being mean to anybody.
Oh, well, that's a different kind of show.
It is.
Yeah, that's a way different kind of show. He can be mean, but it's a different kind of mean, because like when he's mean, or even when Anthony is mean, most of the time it's really, really funny. And after you're done laughing, you're like, oh man, that was fucking brutal and mean to that person. But like Opie's mean stuff, I remember all of that from the clips I've watched back in the day. And his just like was uncomfortable mean, where it'd be like, oh, a guest brought in a gift or a cake or poker chips or something. And instead of like being mean the way Jim or Anthony might, which is clever and funny and kind of underhanded in some ways, he would just take their gift and smash it and then basically bully everybody else in the room into laughing like it was hysterical. But he would literally like take poker chips and just throw them out the window of the building, and the guest would be like, or the person that came in is like, oh, I bought those for you. I thought you would like the gift I got. And it's like, haha, well, I'm just Opie the Destroyer. And it's
they had that they had a street performer come in, and she's just a wreck. She's like the Candy Cane. Candy Cane comes in, and her thing that kind of makes her somewhat famous. She's kind of analogous to like the underwear wearing cowboy who plays the guitar, but she's the disgusting female version of that. She'll like strip naked and play the guitar. And for a homeless street performer, their guitar is like it's all they have in life.
I understand.
Opie smashes this guitar right in front of her as she watches in horror, right? Like that's the kind of shit Opie does. Opie is a piece of shit, and he's not funny. Everybody else on that show, Anthony, it's not a show anymore for good reason. Jim and Anthony and all those other guys are fucking hilarious. It's cruel. It's mean. It's mean-spirited. It digs deep into the person's soul like a hot knife, but it's funny. It's funny, and it's witty, and it's so quick. And Anthony's quick, but Anthony's
very quick.
Jim's the quickest I've ever seen. Because there's a formula for like putting a joke together. They say A, and then you add B, and it equals C. And he adds B so fast that his brain must be running like a machine with gears just whirling 1,000 miles an hour for him to get B there and hit him with C so fast.
Like
it's
the one that sticks out to me the most for just how quick he is is it's a compilation of bits on YouTube. It's called Boardroom Jimmy, where he pretends to be like a stock advisor or like an S&P 500 expert and all this stuff. And he just goes and goes and goes and responds to questions. And it's hilarious because he knows literally nothing about finance, how it works, but he keeps going. He knows enough words where he's like, if you can't dividend your portfolio by that, then I suggest you suck a dick, and like just mean things like that. like I know I don't use the Dow. Only the blacks deal with the Dow. I use NASDAQ, or just things that don't really fully make sense. But it's like he's just using bits and pieces and throwing it together. It's so clever. I can't even impersonate it because I don't even know the bare minimum enough about finance to know the words.
Yeah.
You know?
But the cruelty of the show is just, I can only watch, I stay up with Chiz and he'll link me something and we'll like sync up and watch these things. And like an hour into one of these things, because they'll be 3-hour videos sometimes, I'll be like, all right, I'm tapping out. I feel like if I keep watching, I'm going to like feel bad. Like there's going to be like a heavy feeling in my heart where I feel kind of not sick, but getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Good.
Like,
Wow.
I feel like my soul is being torn just a little bit. When I was listening last night, and they got this guy named Bobo, who's not all there. And Bobo I don't remember the condition with his penis, but the urethra like came out the bottom or something like that. His urethra wasn't right.
Ooh.
So he's had 48 surgeries on his penis over the years. And so his penis is all jacked up, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so like he'll be explaining it and his like fucked up in the head way, and he's like, yes, I've had many surgeries on my penis, and Jim, of course, knows exactly.
Surgeries on my penis.
They know exactly. They know exactly how many surgeries he's had because he's told the story 20 times on the show. But they'll be like, really? I don't know anything about this. How many? He's like 48.
Oh my God, the meanest.
He's like, show us your cock. I'm just gonna be blunt about this. Get it out. And so he disrobes. And they're like, God, it's like a thicket down there. Why don't I can barely see it. How big is it when it's hard? 4.5 inches. And like, and so they'll start talking dirty to them. He's like, just imagine like, Christina's, and he doesn't get it. He's like, imagine Christina's getting out of the shower, right? And her titties are all wet. And you just lift one and feel the weight of it. And you put her areola and her nipple in your mouth.
What do you want to do to those titties, Bobo? I would suck them and hold her titties. It's like, I bet you do, Bobo. It's
and then you hear him go, oh, what the fuck? As he's like getting a hard on. And so like then they take a picture of like a girl and they like, or maybe one of the guys, and they punch a hole in it and stick it over his dick. So he's wearing like a guy's face on his hard on. And then as time goes on and they start making fun of him, they're like, oh, that face is starting to fall off. And then there's like chicks calling in and they'll talk dirty to him to fuck. Hey, Bobo, what are you going to do to my pussy? And he's, oh, I'm going to fuck it hard. Yeah, you're going to slam it with that 3.5 inches. Yeah. And then they're like, oh my God, it's up again. And they're just like, they're just getting.
Have you seen the one where the meanest one they do is from years ago when Patrice O'Neal was still alive with Bobo, and Jim Norton was in there, and like Kyle was saying, you know, they just got him naked and he just stood there. And as you talk about sex at all, he gets hard. And so basically what Jimmy would do is be like, so that girl, Christine, you're talking to her online. I heard she tweeted at me. She's really into you. Like really into you. Like you must have been saying something to her. He's like, well, yes, I tweeted her pretty often. And it's like, oh yeah, I can tell, Bobo. You think she has big tits? Have you seen a picture of her yet? It's like, no, I haven't yet, but I think she has big tits. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome, Bobo. What would you do to him? And he keeps going like that, and then he transitions it to like, because Bobo's the biggest Mets fan ever because they're in New York, you know, and just out of nowhere after talking about tits for 2 minutes to where he's just hard and pre-coming on the floor. I'll be like, yeah. Bobo, what's going on with center field this year? I mean, do we have any chance of making the playoffs, or is it over? Well, the thing to remember about the center field is it's not the position that we need and they will just be laughing, you know, Patrice, his loud ass laugh as his dick goes down, and then like after like 3 Mets questions, they'll be like, you ever think you'll take Christine to a Mets game? What do you think she'd do for you if you got her great tickets right behind the dugout at a Mets game? Oh, I think she let me do plenty of things. And it's just right away, it just starts to get hard again. And the funny part is that he will just ejaculate and get cum on the floor.
Yeah,
And
he's
so he
pre-coming.
just talks him up until he's pre-coming, and then talks about the Mets, and then talks again.
He's edging
Yeah.
him verbally.
Yes, he is.
Absolutely. Last night I was listening, and they had him bend
It's
over
so
and
mean.
they have him spread his ass. So he's showing them his asshole. And they're like, he has 2 assholes, like it's been ripped or something. And so they get another guy in there to get as close to the ass as he dares. And he's like, Iraq is 18 inches from the ass crack right now, and he's all mic'd up. He's like, "What do you see?" He's like, "Oh, it smells like spicy mustard, and there's bits of toilet paper everywhere." And just like, yeah, he doesn't clean that ass very well, does he? He's like, and there's hemorrhoids. Oh, there's hemorrhoids in there, and they're different colors. And Jim's like, "Oh, his whole ass crack's a different color. It's like you have an Asian pussy. What the fuck?" It's and that's just what they do to that
It's
one.
too much. It's too much.
I was gonna defend it, but it's like, yeah, but I mean, I watched 3 hours of it, so is it too much? It's
I've
just
heard enough. The only
You're-
reason I'm not
it's-
asking for a topic change is I think the subs might have not heard enough. I don't know. But to me, I'm just like, it's almost boringly mean in my head. I'm like, I get it. This is like extreme meanest thing you can possibly think of coming.
It's soul killing.
a constant
listen to
stream
a
of
lot of it.
awfulness. Look, I like sugar, but it can't be my only thing. Of course, right now it's not really my thing
Yeah.
at all. But
The-
I don't know. It's too dull.
The better thing about O&A, because I liked the meanness of the show, but the funniest meanness on it is when there'd be a round table of comedians in there, and it would be Anthony and Jimmy and Colin Quinn or whoever else in there, and they're all making fun of each other viciously, or Patrice when he was alive. Like, that's really funny, and it's a bunch of clever people, and so it's always building to something until someone fucks up and tells a joke that's not funny, and then everybody rips on them, and then it builds up again, and it's
that
like
I
a
can get
fun,
more on board
fun
with.
thing.
And it's not just that everyone's clever and armed; it's that everyone is okay, right? Like picture someone who doesn't need any help. I don't know, Mark Cuban, right? You probably don't like him politically, but regardless of what you think of him, he's fine, right? Like he's a multi-billionaire. He's living the life that he wants to live.
Yeah,
if you
seems fine.
pick on Mark Cuban, it's a lot different than picking on Bobo. Mark Cuban's not defenseless. At the very worst, he just decides to leave and probably fuck one of Leonardo DiCaprio's exes and get on a jet and do whatever. But Bobo, on the other hand, is helpless. And they're picking on a disabled person. And
I've always wondered how much of Bobo is an act and how much is real, because he will contribute things that, out of nowhere, you'll be like, hold on. This is not the retarded gentleman that I've come to know through these videos over the years. And so
High-Pitched Derek is rumored.
I do think it's overplayed a good bit, but he's definitely not all there. And nobody knows about the penis stories, how real that is, because I don't have penis footage of this guy
I think
in
it's
the
out
office.
there.
I've never checked. It doesn't sound like a fun thing to watch. I'm going to keep that
No.
audio. Yeah.
I've never seen it either. I don't care to. The way they describe, I think the mental picture that they've built up in my mind can't be topped by anything. It's disgusting. But yeah, you nailed it with High Pitched Derek on the Stern show. I think he's a complete fraud, and the fact that Stern still goes with it year after year makes me think less of Stern and what his show is. The show's completely. I don't listen anymore because the show's so different than it used to be.
Because of the producer.
Because the producer, yeah, that Marcy chick, it's just so politically correct, and he's dropped so many of his old bits, and like he used to make fun of everybody. It's not that I'm a racist and I want to hear somebody crack on black people, but he used to do a black guy voice. He used to do an Asian guy voice. He used to do a voice for anyone and everyone. They made fun of every single group, Christians and Jews and Muslims, like across the board. And now all of a sudden he's a masterful interviewer, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'll go to Graham Norton if I just want to see some celebrities sit on a couch.
Well, Trump's masterful interviewing got celebs to say things they didn't want to say. That's what I always thought was cool. He would have I don't know, a hot actress of the day, right? Mrs. It Girl, the whatever 1995 equivalent of Jennifer Lawrence, and he'd get her talking about her sex life or something, or admitting something about ex-boyfriends that I found salacious and interesting. And that to me was where his interviewing shined. Heck, he had Britney Spears on when she was young, and he was like walking her through all her contract mistakes, and I found that interesting. Like he's going through it. He's like, "Yeah, you got this, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I got that. Yeah, I did that too. I'm on top of this. Do you have guaranteed accounting? Wait, what?" And it was great. He's like, "Oh, really? You don't have guaranteed accounting, so you just have to trust their numbers on what they tell you the profits are, and your cut can just be anything they say because the accounting's not guaranteed." And she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh, that was really interesting." Like Stern, being sort of older and more experienced in show business, was walking Britney Spears through her mistakes, and
That would be
And a
interesting.
Jewish fellow. So
He knows.
That.
he knows. Like he could probably write her contract up for her. I saw the other day a thing. I saw Stern get offended and be a little bitch. It's an old clip, but Jamie Lee Presley's on there. Incredibly hot blonde, in case you don't know. But Stern does this thing where he kind of hits on them and he's like, "Well, what do you think of me? Would you date someone like me?" And a lot of chicks will be like, "Oh yeah, Howard, you're so hot. I love your hair." And let me see those eyes, and he'll raise those eyes. It shows beady little rat eyes.
He doesn't have good hair.
Yeah, he'll show those beady little rat eyes and be like, "Oh, that makes me melt. My pussy just got so wet."
I like
and
your
it's almost
dad
like
bod.
when the girls talk to, he's got a nice body. He's got abs. Like he doesn't eat.
Always.
That doesn't mean he has a nice body. He looks like a Slenderman.
Yeah, he can't help it. Like that's just his that's just what he is. In any case, she says, "You look like you got slapped in the face with a yarmulke." And he's like, "Whoa, oh, what do you mean by that?" And it gets into this whole thing, like calling her an anti-Semite. And by the end of it, when she's walking out, she's like, "Apparently I said something about yarmulkes and Howard got offended. I'm so sorry. She's like apologizing to the camera because he went after her for the next 5 or 10 minutes of the interview because she said he looked like he got hit in the face with a yarmulke, which he's only half Jewish, but he's got a look about him that is just unattractive, and it has nothing to do. It's not that he's Jewish.
You mean that white guy fro doesn't come off as a little Jewish looking?
It does. He's only half Jewish, but he's
He used to have. You know what it was? So there was a time when he was the king of all media and stuff, and he did the movie, and he had his book, and of course his radio show's going crazy. He was working super hard to look like he did on that book cover. He's like, "I don't look like..." He'd pull his shirt up, and everyone in the studio would laugh, and he's like, "I'm eating right. I'm working out constantly. I'm going to look like that guy again." And maybe he did. Maybe he achieved it. But that's the Stern I have in my head.
Yeah, I haven't listened lately, but for years of shows, not years of me listening, but I listened to so much of it that I'm going through the catalog. He's like, "Yeah, I got so hungry, but I just went to bed starving, and I woke up and I had my whatever, like this bullshit breakfast, and then his meals would be steamed fish and broccoli. Like he's eating
Steamed fish.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so flavorless.
and he's got the personal trainer and a personal stylist, and like Ralph is his stylist. Like that's how hard he's trying. And that's one of the things that's so endearing. He's like, I got a little penis. I'm hideous. All I've got is this voice in this brain and this $1 billion, and I'm just trying to use that
And this
to
$1 billion.
fix the rest of this up, and it's just
Really
not.
built that up. Yeah.
He's old
That's
though,
funny.
right? How old is he now?
60 something, mid 60s, late 60s.
Yeah, I mean if he's, I'll make it. You said late 60s, mid 60s. Let's call him
63.
67. Okay, 63. He's going to be invisible to most menstruating women. Like anyone 40 or under, whatever it is, 45. I don't know, but
Well, he's married. He's got that hot wife.
Okay, but yeah, it just.
That's part of what makes his show shit as well. He married this model / TV host, this Beth. Her last name's long and Nordic, so whatever. But she's into cats. So now there's this whole thing. He's all about cats and rescuing cats, and his and he talks about it constantly. His multi-million-dollar New York apartment is full of cats and cat shit, and he's always selling calendars to raise money for cat shelters, and
His apartment's full of cat shit?
There's a litter box, but yeah, it has to be by definition because it's full of cats.
Yeah.
He's got feral cats in his
How
apartment.
many cats does he have?
At one time, 8 to 10.
That's disgusting.
I
Like
think I might want an
disgusting.
outdoor cat. I could see that.
Sure.
Cats don't love you. Cats don't love you. They want nothing to do with you. They just take advantage of your good-naturedness as a human to take care of them.
We
Like
are
I
cats,
can't
dogs.
imagine. I cannot imagine bringing a cat home and wanting to take care of it. Like they're just not the animal for me. Like I've met one cat in my entire life that actually acted like a dog a bit, and I've met 6,000 girls who say that their cat is just like a dog, and so the numbers aren't adding up.
On top of that, I've met 6,000 dogs that act like dogs. So play the odds.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Dogs are awesome. My dad added 2 more dogs to his pack.
Wow.
For his main squeeze, Rambo, of course, was crushed and died maybe 8 months ago or something like that by another dog. A dog bit the dog, and little rat terrier, big dog chomps it. It's just done so. So, cried about that. Very sad day. This 15-year-old little dog that had been his partner for so long.
Had a good life though. 15.
Yeah, he got it right. It was the day I graduated high school. Was the day that his last dog died, and so then he quickly replaced it. And so that was 2004. So this dog was 2 when he got it. I think the dog's 15 or 16 years old or something. Very old dog, and so it was all shaky and shit. But it's his main little buddy. Anyway, that dog died. So we replaced it recently with a female miniature pinscher. It's a cool little dog or whatever. But the other day, he's driving down the road, and one of the neighbors near him is a retarded black man who lives by himself in this house, and we see him out there standing in the yard sometimes, just kind of staring at the sun or whatever. And you give him a wave, and he waves back, and so Dad drives past there, and he noticed that this man's pit bull is chained up on a 5-foot-long chain with no water. So Dad's like, he pulls in, goes and takes the bowl, goes to the hose and gets some water, puts it there for the dog, and leaves. He comes back the next day to check on the dog again because he wants to do something about the chain. And the guy's brother is there who sort of attends him and checks on him from time to time, get some groceries and stuff. And so he starts talking to the brother about this. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to bring the dog a lead, a runner, so he can run from this tree. My dad's telling him this, so that he'll be able to run from this tree to that tree. Do you mind if I put all that up for him? And then he's like, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I kind of feel bad for the dog too. We got another one over there. It's a purebred pit bull. And Dad's like, where? He's like, over there in that box. And there's a box over there by the house. And Dad's like, over here? It's like, yeah. Dad walks over to this small box like you would put, I don't know, a refrigerator in or something. And he looks down into the box, and there's a border collie in this box with blue eyes, beautiful dog. And he's like, this box right here? Yeah, purebred pit bull. I'm gonna breed her. She's about to come into heat. This dog right here. Yeah, that one. Dad's like, at this point, he's like, this is awful. This fucker's in this box. He's like, would you sell it? And the guy's like, oh, no, not for sale. It's a purebred pit bull. That's a fancy dog right there. Dad's like, $20. All right.
Oh, God.
Dad digs.
This is great.
Dad digs deep. Rolls out a 20, and so now he's got a border collie, and it's beautiful.
Wait,
it's
did
one
he
of
get
those,
the other dog too, or?
Well, we're not gonna have a pit bull.
Because I thought you said he added 2 to the.
Well, he's got the miniature pinscher that he just had purchased. That's his that dog stays in the bed with him. That dog goes to breakfast with him. It's like with him. It's his partner. And the border collie, I guess, is just gonna be part of the pack now.
It's part of his everyday carry. I get it.
Yeah.
He's got a Leatherman. He's got a wallet and this dog.
Yeah, a purebred pit bull.
And so he took the dog.
To be fair though, pit bulls and border collies, the twins of the dog world. When you think about it, they look so similar from muzzle shape to hair. I can't name one thing that's similar between those two breeds of dogs.
Completely dissimilar.
4 feet.
So
not even close.
He took the dog and got its shots and stuff. The other day he found a cat in the road, all fucked up. This kitten, and it's like eyes are matted shut. So he gets the dog and the cat, and he had medicated eye drops that were for a dog, but I mean antibiotic eye drops probably work on a cat. So he gives it the eye drops, and after a day, the eyes open up and the cat's all happy and everything. And he's like, but I can't have a cat. I literally have a pack of dogs at my place that they see a rat, they destroy it. They see anything, they destroy it. I can't have this. So he's looking for someone to take this cat. And so there's a veterinarian near us who's a real cunt. We've taken bleeding, injured dogs to this person multiple times, and they'll be like, can't really get to it right now. And you're like, blood's dripping. And like one time we took a dog up there that had a severe foot injury, and they waited like 3 days to amputate the dog's paw and left it in a cast, and there were maggots in it. So we don't like this vet at all. Real fuckers. So Dad
Can you like
goes.
not call the Better Business Bureau about vets who just let dogs sit around with maggots in their wounds?
Unfortunately, dogs don't have that many advocates in the world, I guess, legally speaking.
Just your dad.
Darren McLaughlin, your dad. The list goes on, I'm sure.
I can see like, and then Dad comes in with a guitar like in the background. So he walks in there with this cat, and he goes, "Hey, I was just passing by. One of your cats got loose." And they're like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I don't know. Just running around out there on your front doorstep. You guys got to keep better track of your animals. Here you go." And he just turns around and walks out. And so like the vet like follows him out. Sir, someone has to take financial responsibility for this cat. He's like, "Well, it's your cat. I guess that's you." Just drives the fuck away. They killed the cat.
But
it had a couple good days of seeing.
And one good joke.
And it didn't get ripped apart. Last time we had a cat that we called White Cat, very inventive because it was white, and she like lived at our place. She was our outside cat. We poured a little food occasionally and everything, but that never even touched this thing because it was a bit feral. And she had kittens on our porch, and it was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with like half a dozen kittens here? Like, because you can't take them to the shelter because they kill cats. They just do. If the cat's there for a week or something, they're like, and you're dead. So I had to drive all the way to like Greenville, South Carolina, and find a no-kill pet shelter and go in there and give them these cats. And it was really cool. It was like
I would definitely not Google no-kill shelter. I would Google closest shelter and just feel good about myself and be like, and if they kill it, I didn't. Like
we have a dog problem at the house.
I was just following orders.
You're just as bad as those guys who drove
opinion on this. So our neighbor bought a dog. This is a neighbor, like we can see him from our house. And I don't know what it is. I'm going to call it a German Shepherd, but it seems too small, so call it a Shepherd mix of some sort. Weighs like 45, 50 pounds. And it's aggressive. It's like I've landed my paramotor and the thing comes charging at me. And I didn't know it was aggressive at the time. I thought he was being playful. And he starts barking at me and everything. And the homeowner is like chasing afterwards, just apologies flying out from everywhere. And that was the first time. And mind you, like I didn't do anything that would like get the dog's attention. It just sees a victim on the horizon and starts chasing it down. I was taking my trash out and minding my own business, whatever. I just put the trash out on the street and the dog comes zipping at me from like 300 yards away. Just ruff, 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 ruff. And I'm a dog lover, right? So I'm like giving him the fist, like, smell my hand, we could be friends. Yeah. And he just aggressively snapping at me. And the lady comes, apologizing and brings the dog back. And I'm like, oh, it's no problem, because I'm way too big a pushover. My wife was in the car. Like I think I know what she was. She was in her car, and the trash cans were at the curb. And she just sort of got out to see if they were empty so we could retrieve them. And in that time, the dog saw the car and started, like, chasing. She goes back into the car to retreat and drives in. And occasionally this dog is on our yard, like sort of like you could be on the edge of the yard and yard's big enough it almost becomes community property, like the edges. But you go into it a bunch and now you're like, what are you doing? Why are you in here? And she's like, that dog is going to get into a fight with our dogs. And for a while she had this big like fear about it. Like these dogs are going to get into a fight. And now she's just like, you know what? Bring it. Bring it. We have 3 dogs. They're constantly wrestling with each other, like going for the throat, whatever. 2 of them will work as a team to take out the third one. They have like coordinated moves. And she's just like, I worried about this for too long. They're not controlling their dog. This is what we train for. And that's where we are now with it. Appropriate?
I was going to say,
now it's only a matter of time.
If you want to, my dad's dogs like would always chase him down the driveway, and it became a problem because then they're in the road and they can get hit. And he kept a paintball gun in the car, and as they're chasing, he'd fucking shoot one in the ass with a paintball gun. And he's like, yes, fucking stay. I meant it. And like they learned from him, like shooting him in the butt with a paintball gun. I'm not sure if that might be what you want to use against this dog.
I think that's a good idea.
Or airsoft because there's no evidence.
Get one of those paintball guns that like Kyle let us use on that trip. So you just shoot a rope of paint, make it remember that lesson. And then all the other dogs will be like, you know why fucking, Lil Joe is purple? Because he disobeyed. Covered in welts and paint.
I don't know. Do we have legal issues? If it's on our property, I have to assume that everything is fine.
If a dog ran onto your property and started fighting your dogs, like what would the legal thing even be? Like wouldn't it just be dogs started fighting and then you try and break it up?
You can do whatever you want to do. And it's a dog. So like look, I love dogs more than anyone, but like I've had to kill dogs. Like dogs come over and they're gonna kill a calf like they've done before, or they'll chase a calf, like a newborn calf, till exhaustion. And then they're not wolves or coyotes, so they don't like really know what to do, but they'll just fuck with it until it dies from exhaustion or heat stroke. It's a hot summer day and this calf has run 5 miles and now it's just drenched in sweat and just collapsed out of exhaustion. And it dies. And so those dogs die.
And Mama Cow has long since decided, fuck that, and just ran back to the herd for the most part.
They'll fight to defend their calf. They actually will. It's like the more I watch Reddit videos of people petting cows and stuff, the more beef is delicious, but you kind of feel it gets harder.
Not hard. It's not even a little hard for me. Like I saw cows on my grandparents' farm every time I went down there growing up. Like he put me on top of one every once in a while, obviously like holding on to the back of me to make sure that it didn't like spook out and throw me off or something. But it put me up there and I'd go over and I'd pet the cows and I'd look at where they were eating and everything. And it, as even growing up, I was like, oh yeah, all these become the food that I like to eat. But that's just what humans do. We're omnivores. We eat meat and we eat, vegetables and plants and shit. Meat's better. So obviously we need lots of animals. And that's just, I don't know, it's kind of part of life. I don't get sad when I see animals that are only existing in the first place because we decided they needed to for us to eat.
Would there be as much of a disconnect, do you think, if you had to slaughter your own cow? Like if getting that steak meant leading the cow into the barn and like shooting it and then hoisting it up by its back feet and draining it and everything, like do you think there'd be...
Yeah, I would look at that the same as like I do hunting. Like when I shoot a deer, if I know, or I shoot a dove or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, eat that. It's like, okay, that makes sense. That's reasonable. That's what people do. You kill an animal and then you eat it. But if I just kill the cow for fun, then yeah, I wouldn't be cool with that. It's just the same way I kind of don't like trophy hunting, unless the trophy hunting is like giving a bunch of money to a village or getting rid of an awful old elephant or whatever.
I'm a beef eater in the same way that I'm pro-choice. I mean, I do it, but I don't like it.
That's a pretty.
I like that. Okay, good.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Pretty good.
there are harsh realities to life, I suppose. You don't have to agree and love every aspect of life. No one likes shitting. Like if you, I guess some people do, but like if you could push a button and like you don't shit anymore, like Kim Jong-un did, you would. You just
everybody would.
I don't buy toilet paper. What's the point?
Yeah,
don't press that button.
My body runs at 100% efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't hunted in so long. I don't think I want to. And maybe archery. Like it's there's something about the sporting aspect of it that changes things in my mind. Like as I'm doing that equation.
Shooting him with an arrow is more cruel than just shooting him with a gun in my head. Because that like bow hunting in my head. Like I still don't have a problem with it as long as the animal you kill, you eat it, and you're not just making a rug and throwing out all the meat. But when you when you go bow hunting instead of gun hunting, it's kind of like saying the comfort and efficiency of the death of this animal that I'm going to use isn't quite as important as my ability to say, I'm a woodsman. I sit up here in this $2,000 stand with my totally just like the olden days bow. I'm being hyperbolic,
I tried
obviously.
to make this point
and then I
on
put
the
a
Barnacules
big broadhead
and
arrow.
you disagreed with it. I was like, hey, this guy is spear hunting a bear. Right? Now he nailed it, but there was a real good chance he hits him in the back of his leg or something and just wounds him. And like spear hunting a bear, and you were like, "Hey, if I'm a bear, I'd much rather be spear hunted than shot." And I'm like, I don't know.
To me, it's about the sporting
spear hunted, but like the thing with, I remember the bear clip, and I totally get what you mean. Like from a realistic perspective, it is a little more cruel, if that's an okay
taking
word.
A risk with that guy, with somebody else's, with some bears.
But you're giving the bear more of a sporting chance. That's the thing.
The fact he was on the ground and not like throwing from a tree, like that made it seem a little more fair. because like the bear could have turned around and gotten him. And if the bear had turned around and gotten him and he missed with the spear, his obituary should have read, "Here lies Ted. He got what he was asking for." Yeah.
I thought that there was a real chance that the bear wasn't that aggressive. He wasn't going for the guy. He might see him run. The guy throws maybe at a bear on the run or something, and just really hurts it because that was a
Totally could have
effective
happened.
spear.
Could have
Yeah.
happened, yeah.
The thing to me is about the sporting chance, less about the pain, because I don't know how animals feel pain. You know, I know I feel pain, but I don't know what's going through their head.
I
and what
imagine
kind of
they
pain
don't like it. I'm just
Yeah,
basing
they're
it on
not-
the screams and cries.
Yeah, they're probably
Yeah.
not big fans. They're just like machines, though. They're just programmed to do that.
But,
They're
yeah,
just
but
calling
it's
for help.
Interesting what animals are. I think probably the truth is somewhere in the middle. But to me, animals are people with different shapes. To you guys, animals are hulking superhumans with no brains whatsoever. And
No, not necessarily. Some of them have very large brains, like monkeys.
there
There you go.
and dolphins.
But no, like the whole thing comes down to like, yeah, the spear, the bow, like you could make the case that like, you know, that's kind of indulging your own desire to feel like a woodsman at the expense of the pain of the animal when you could more efficiently kill it with a rifle. But at the end of the day, if you're eating it, if you're using that animal, I don't have a problem with it. Like it just don't be a dick and shoot it and leave it in the woods.
Probably
or
the
just kill
animal
things for fun.
doesn't care.
No, it doesn't. But it's like it's almost just an ethical thing of
Yeah.
like if I kill a beautiful elk in Alaska and I go, all right, let's hit up Steak and Shake, and then I just get in the car and fucking leave after cutting its head off, like that's a little
It's
fucked. Or
ethically-
maybe it's not if a bunch of wolves come and eat it. No,
So, like,
because then they're not going to be the best wolves they can be.
The sporting chance thing is huge for me with hunting. Like it should, and there's tons of rules in like the hunting manuals that are all about giving the animal sporting chance. I think that on one end of the spectrum you have something like a trap, like a trap there that's not only cruel but like how the fuck are they going to avoid a trap? It's not like they're in Vietnam looking for tripwires. They don't know any better. Like they had no chance against that trap if you put it in their trail or whatever. And then the bow is like on the opposite end of that, or maybe the spear is, or maybe just going in there and like put your dukes up, deer,
Woody
you know, something
style.
like that. But the most
Put your spear
realistic
out.
thing is, you know, a bow. Like that's pretty fucking ancient tech, you know. So I feel like they have a very sporting chance. Yeah, you're gonna miss them all the time. They have to get so close that they might smell or see you sometimes. But the rifle, once you're proficient with a rifle, really proficient with one, it feels exactly like leading that cow into the barn and saying, "Okay, old friend, it's time." You know, it feels so similar to that it feels a little dirty.
It's more like pushing a button to just kill it. Where like I'm sure, Kyle, because you're an excellent marksman, when you're aiming at a deer with your rifle, you're not thinking, man, I hope I hit it. You're thinking, where am I gonna hit it? And then you decide where you're gonna hit it and you hit it there. Like
Yeah.
whereas with a bow, you might be like, oh fuck, like damn it, it's too far away. I gotta hope for it to come a little closer.
Oh,
or
for sure. Because there's no magnification. You're looking through a peephole on your string and at a little point on your optic. And my bow always had 15 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards. And like I almost never even thought to put a 40. There was a 40-yard pin, but it's like, oh my God, I hope I never have to use the 40-yard pin because 40 is pretty extreme. If you're shooting on when you're up in the air, they look so different. When you're in a tree looking down, the deer looks so small. You're just, my dad always used a laser on his bow, which I remember like we'd hunt close enough together in trees that I could see what he was doing, and it looked just like the Predator as that laser, because you draw the bow with it aimed up high and then bring it down, and you see that laser cutting through the leaves, and then you'd see it like right on the deer following it. That was always fun. It's fun to watch as much as it is to do it yourself. That's why hunting in pairs is so cool.
that'd be a fun way to hunt wild cats. Is you just kind of point the laser pointer at the ground and move it, and then you wait for wild cats to arrive, and then you can solve problems.
Or you could just lead him to a trap, right? Like you could take the laser pointer and make him walk over to the trap.
You could.
And then you'd get the...
That'd be funny.
That would be great.
I think that goes against what Kyle was just saying by taking the lowest possible road of leading it directly into a
It could
trap.
be a humane
Yep,
trap.
yep, yep.
It could.
Like a
What
punji
kind of-
pit.
What's a a pit with a bunch of sharpened bamboo and Japanese soldier feces rubbed on it?
I was gonna say you got to put the feces on there.
Did
Have you guys
shit
been
on
following the DACA thing?
Yes. I know that he nixed it or whatever, and
I know
it's
of it,
6
I don't.
months for
So let me-
Congress.
Let me lay it out there if I can. I hope I get my details right. Obama signed an executive
no.
order saying they weren't going to prosecute people who were brought here as children, right? So now they're not necessarily children anymore, but they came here as illegal aliens, but they were, 3 years old or 15 years old. It wasn't their choice. Their parents brought them here. So while the parents are still at risk for deportation, the kids, what they call dreamers, are not. And Trump, throughout the campaign and early in his presidency, actually had both sides of this issue. At times he was saying, we're going to deport him. I can do this on day one. At times he was saying, you know what, I have a big heart. We're not going to go after him, etc.
He would ride that fence though,
Yeah, he
right?
would, he
I
would.
never heard him say, "Oh, they're fine. Don't worry about a thing. I will not." He never said, "I will not
Yeah.
mess with them." It was always this thing like, "Hey, I got a big heart. I love those kids.
Yeah,
maybe
they'd
don't
be
worry
like,
so
hey,
much."
if I'm a dreamer, should I be scared? And he'd be like, hey, I have a big heart. I love those guys.
Yeah,
What do you- I mean, like,
Yeah,
to be
but
like,
that
I
wasn't
don't know.
necessarily a no.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Exactly.
and like this
But
is
let me
just
keep laying it out.
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, so Trump has been, I don't know why, but like it's been pressure on him to sort of resolve this issue now. Like, hey, where are we going to go on this? Are you going to be pro or anti-dreamer? And, or young illegal alien, you can call him what you will. But he eventually came out and said this. He's like, I'm going to end it, but not very quickly. So if your renewal process is in the works, we're going to keep going and we're going to renew it. If you have 2 years or less left on your thing, then you'll continue to be able to work legally here for the next 2 years. Even though they're an illegal alien, they're legally allowed to work here because they're dreamers under this Obama DACA thing. And that about the last part is nothing happens for the next 6 months. So what he's hoping is going to happen is that Congress will give him something to sign that that will make it into law, as opposed to an executive order that he just undid.
Mhm.
So I think I laid it out pretty fairly there. And I
Yeah.
don't know I don't know. The whole legal alien thing, like here's the rule. If you're born here, you get to be a citizen. Doesn't matter if pregnant mom snuck across the border with, while she was in labor. If the kid's
Anchor
born
baby.
here, what's that?
Anchor baby.
Yeah, if the kid's born here, then the kid becomes a citizen. Mom doesn't, but the kid does. And that's always been the rule. Now there's like a new rule, like, hey, if the kid is, and I'm not sure about the 18 part, but let's say it, if the kid's under 18, then that kid becomes a dreamer, and he'll get to work here, or she'll get to work here legally. Not a citizen, but something almost as good, able to live and work here legally. And I don't know. I know it's good for a population to increase its population, for a country to increase its population. That's why people like immigration, or, like politicians, people playing civilization with this planet, like to increase the size of the population. They feel like it's good. There's more consumers in the country. There's more producers in the country. Makes your whole country stronger when you get more citizens. Obviously, only if you get the right ones, but, it's good to increase your population. I don't know. The issue's complicated for me. It does seem cruel when a kid comes over here that, I'll make it up, 3 years old. They live here for 20 years. Now they're 23 years old. They've never known another country. They might not even speak Spanish that well. And now they're deported to Mexico. Like, that kid didn't do it.
Yeah, shitty parents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very, very shitty parents. Funny
we're not-
how it's sometimes okay to blame people for the actions of their parents and sometimes not.
I blame the
Yes.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah, on
yeah.
this
Isn't that
one, though, it's
interesting?
really
no,
hard.
but I'm saying
I
saying
definitely
for
blame
this,
the parents
like,
when the kid's only 3.
Oh well, no shit. Of course, like a 3-year-old didn't choose to come here, and I
wasn't sure
totally
where
see
you were
what you're
going with
saying.
that.
No. I was saying that it's funny that the same group of people, a lot of like the far lefty people, who will be like, "Oh, you're the recipient of privilege, and your ancestor did this, that, and the other," and then we're like, "Hey, but this person's ancestor, as in their fucking parents, did something illegal," and they're like, "No. Yeah, individuals." But like, either way, like it does seem a little fucked to just kick someone out who came here when they were 3, when it's like they didn't decide to come here, and I don't know, it doesn't seem fair. But at the same time, I see the argument of like, should we incentivize people coming here just to have a baby and then sneak in and break the law? Like, and to be fair, like Obama knew when he did this wasn't constitutional, and it was eventually going to unravel.
Yeah,
like,
he made
I think you're wrong on that. He didn't do anything unconstitutional. That's just untrue.
No, for him to give amnesty like that, like sweeping amnesty, just as the president, you can't do that. You can't just give amnesty.
And he, from Obama,
like, no one argues that it's unconstitutional.
Obama did.
Doesn't create
Obama said it before. Obama tried to get legislation passed, so this wouldn't be an executive order. He said, "Hey, I can't just sign this thing into law. I'm not a king." The legislation fails, and he's like, "Well, maybe I'll be part-time king." And then he signed it in. Like, those are his words. He said,
haven't heard anyone say it was unconstitutional or that it was beyond.
I'm not necessarily suggesting.
I'm not saying it was a law. I'm just saying that he didn't exceed his power.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He kind of did, because the president isn't allowed to grant amnesty in that way. And so when he tried, to Kyle's point, it got shot down, and he basically made it as a policy change instead and said, well, we're not going to deal with, the DACA people, the Dreamers or whatever. And he really kind of kicked that can down the road to now Trump, where he's going to have to either make a decision and say, all right, we're going to grant amnesty, or we're not going to grant amnesty to these people, which at this point, I don't know how many people DACA is covering. I don't know. Is it millions? Is it hundreds of thousands?
A lot of stuff I guess it's semantics, really, but it's not unconstitutional. He didn't violate his power. And he didn't kick the can down the road. He made a decision and said, we're going to do this. Trump decided to take it up and undo that decision. It wasn't like he just kicked the can down the road. He did what he thought was right and what he could with the Congress he had. He did, to avoid it and stick his head in the sand would be kicking the can down the road. He couldn't get a law passed. That much is true. But he had, Republican Senate and House.
He can't Obama doesn't have the right as the president to say, all right, we're no longer enforcing these laws about immigration. And that's what he did through a policy. He said, well, we're going to, my DOJ isn't going to do that. We're not going to do things like that. And it wasn't a real, it was basically the executive branch trying to make whole cloth legislation about amnesty and allowing these people. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's not true, though. It was constitutional.
Seems like an overreach of his power.
It's not constitutional for the president to do that. It's not. He can't just say.
The president, and he can. And the president and the Department of Justice can decide which things they prioritize. When the Department of Justice said, you know what, we're not really going to go after marijuana, that wasn't unconstitutional either. Let's Google it and see if that's true.
I want a T-shirt where Trump is drop kicking a brown baby, and it says, "Keep dreaming, Pablo." No.
My first thing. DACA isn't unconstitutional and/or legal, and other lies Trump and Sessions told. Let's find a better website.
I see that.
I don't know that one. I'm not familiar with courts.com. Let's see what. Here's one that says what legal experts are saying. Oh, there was a Supreme Court case, and it got deadlocked, and therefore it stayed. So the Supreme Court, I guess, quote unquote, decided on it because it was even, and they didn't overturn it.
Do they call it a decision if it's locked, or do they not? I don't know.
It doesn't use the word decision in here. It says deadlocked, so it wasn't overturned. That's where it is.
Funny stuff.
Sometimes I feel bowled over. I'll say it. I want to fight, but Taylor often approaches these topics with a tremendous amount of confidence, and I tend to approach things with I don't think so. I'll have to check on that. I can Google it, and I feel like I get steamrolled, by him just the media absolutely sucked Obama's dick for 8 years, and I'm like, I don't think so, and I was like, what? I don't want to get steamrolled this time.
I see where you're coming from in a way. I disagree in that I actually think since the election, I've done a good job not liking a lot of what Trump does because I genuinely don't like a lot of what he does. And so when the carrier thing happened, that was the first thing we talked about. When he gave special treatment, I said, I don't like that. And now when he tried to push through the healthcare thing, I said, I don't like that. It's just not even repeal and replace. And so every time Trump has come up since the election, I've mentioned things that I don't like about him. And so I feel like I've done a good job of that. Whereas, to be fair, every time Trump comes up, it's very predictable for the most part. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to give you credit because this hurricane one, you were in the middle and you said this is ridiculous. There's no reason for them to blow this up so much. So
a couple things in the hurricane. They're damned if you do, damned if they don't. People fussies there causing like security complications when they rescue. They wouldn't like it if he didn't go. Yeah, Melania's shoes. Oh my gosh, find a better thing to fuss about. You know, that's crazy. Yeah. Melania should be off limits. She's not doing anything. Leave her alone. And there were some others too. When he stopped allowing more or less Muslims, but people from Muslim countries coming in, on that one, I was also like, you know, this is a tough issue for me. Like I can see the justification for it. So I've been really about the issues and not the man mostly, although he hasn't given me a lot to support.
There is a lot to dislike about the man. Like there's plenty to dislike about Trump as a person. Like the way he just seems to be emotionally tethered to wherever his ego is at the moment. It's like, God, like he constantly has wonderful opportunities in front of him to do things and to look good. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Somebody tweeted something mean. I'm going to retweet this 16-year-old bot or like whatever the hell. Like, I don't know. Like he steps on his own feet every other day.
A lot of the crises that he deals with were created in his own White House. You know, they do something wrong, they say something wrong, when the right play was pretty simple. I think anyone on this call would have got it. Before the election happened, one of my issues against him was just kind of a moral thing. Like, hey, this guy's lying constantly. This guy, you know, he's all the children, all the wives, all this, all that. Like, the lawsuits brought against him for evicting black people from his housing apartment or housing units. And I was just like, there's a lot in here that kind of proves he's a bad guy. I don't know that he'll be a bad president because Bill Clinton was a bad guy, but I used morality as one of the reasons I didn't like him. And in hindsight, I'm like, I think I was onto something with this one anyway. That
sure.
You know, a lot of his plays, you know.
Oh, definitely.
It's just
and
who he's going to be.
But as far as the DACA thing, like, I'm not sold either way yet. I don't know. Like, I haven't read up on it enough to know like all the pros and the cons of keeping people here. But like one gut reaction I have is like, wait, so we just tax funded a ton of people's education and now we're going to send them back to Mexico? Like, no, we all just bankroll this? Like, shouldn't these people be qualified members of the American economy now? Like, wouldn't that kind of, or is that not resonant?
No, there's a certain logic with that. I hear you.
It sounds good, but like if you go on an anecdotal basis, like the guy CNN had on yesterday was half Japanese and half Filipino, and they were like, and he was a dreamer, and he's like, yeah, my parents already went back to Japan because they were afraid of Trump. They were here illegally, and I'm afraid to go there. And they're like, well, what would you do if you stayed here? He's like, I want to become an immigration attorney. And it's like, all right, well, you can go. You can go. You can go then. Like,
oh. Well, yeah, it is a complicated issue, and you got to feel for the kids who came here. Like, they didn't pick that.
And if you go on the one person basis, like, I don't know what my image of a dreamer is exactly, right? Like, on one hand, I picture like a girl, she's Latina, she has good grades, she's going to college, and she's going to be a great member of society, right? That's one image of a dreamer. On the other hand, I got a guy, he has something written in tattoo, an arch that just shows through above the neck in his t-shirt, and he's in a gang, and his masculinity is like the cornerstone of his entire sense of self-worth.
It just says machismo across his belly.
Yeah, a brown pride or something. You know, and it's just like, oh yeah, well, that guy could go. You know, he's nothing but trouble. He's just gonna go to our prison system. Yeah. So that I don't know what the dreamer is.
What does this say? Oh, this is about potential jobs that dreamers have that could be American jobs. I don't care about this. I'm not reading that.
They took our jobs.
They took our jobs. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the DACA thing. I don't know the right answer on the DACA thing. I don't know. I'd like to know more about these dreamers. I almost want to pick and choose among them. Like, well, there's a movie now called The Thinning, right? Are you guys familiar with The Thinning?
I haven't seen The Thinning, but this sounds hilarious.
I'm already in favor.
I want Simon Cowell to be on the board. I want it to be televised, and let's get fucking going. We'll use all the
And Gordon
money.
Ramsay.
I don't know if it's
Welcome to Who
theaters
Wants to Be an American.
or new on DVD, but it's kind of a Hunger Games like thing where the kids get killed if they don't get good enough test scores in school. They thin the population out and just get rid of all the underachievers. And two kids, the star of our movie, get selected for thinning, and then they fight back against the man, and that's the essence of the movie. And somehow that is my idea for DACA.
No, just do it like America's Got Talent, and second place gets to be Canadian, and let's fucking roll it out every week, right? Like first place, American and a scholarship. Second place, American, but we're not helping out. Third place, Canada.
Everybody else, Mexico, except last place, Ireland.
10 contestants a week. There's a talent portion, a swimsuit portion.
That's making a lot of sense.
Donald Trump owns the show, of course. He's parlaying his money
It's
from
nothing he hasn't seen before.
Absolutely, he's seen it all.
Seen it all. Yeah, no, Okay, let's put this plan in motion. I like this better. This is better than Trump's suggestion. We have tryouts. We make sure that when you're immigrating here, you're the best of the best. You're the brightest. You're coming here with ideas, with Tesla shocks coming off your fingertips. You got inventions stuck in your mind. That's what we want. We don't want someone coming here and then, what was it, Kyle? Becoming an immigration attorney so he can get his sneaky Japanese illegal immigrant parents back over here.
You called them sneaky.
Because they snuck over. Because it's sneaky to
and because Pearl Harbor, we don't forget.
To be an illegal immigrant is by definition very sneaky. Because you're sneaking about.
It's
Nobody
a thing
comes
people
over.
say about Asians. Maybe you don't even know that. But
I didn't even
it's
know
like
that.
We say it about the
Asian slur.
Japanese because they snuck attack us.
Oh, well, I mean, all right, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't
That's
know
okay.
that was a thing.
Before the call, I called a group of people a pack. Had no idea that was racist either.
Can anyone in the audience
Ryan,
guess
guess
what
what
group of
group?
people would he refer to as a pack?
I didn't mean it. A pack in my area is the Wolf Pack. It's the NC State. Like that's. Anyway, it wasn't meant to be racist. It's a group of people wearing red where I come from. But
The Bloods.
the Bloods, no, the Wolf Pack.
The Bloods.
I guess we should probably wrap up the call because we'll talk about the hurricane on PKA.
Yeah. I mentioned
But-
it last week because I use that. We use different sites. I liked your site very much, but I'm still stuck on Ventusky because when I type V, I can just press V and then enter and get there. But ventusky.com has a really cool model and it lets you track this thing hour by hour. You can track it by precipitation or cloud color, cover or wind speed and stuff, and it's fun because every day it changes. I check it maybe every
once a
6
day.
hours. Yeah, I check every 6 hours. I'll be like, let's see what the path looks like now, and it's starting to look more and more like it's going to go up the eastern coast of Florida. It's going to hit the tip and then ride the east coast and then dump fucking inches on South and North Carolina. The other day, Kitty and I were talking about you, Woody, and I was like, man, if Woody gets flooded, I don't know if he can make it out. You know, he's got that bum leg, like he's gonna be floating in there. I don't know what's gonna happen.
No,
He's
you're
gonna
gonna be a
fly
hill.
away.
You're gonna be on an island if it floods.
Yeah.
Where it's just your estate.
Two things. One, like Taylor mentioned, we live on top of a hill. We're totally not getting flooded. Two, I swim an hour a day. I swam an hour and 20 minutes today. It is my PT that I'm up to. I'm on it. I couldn't be working any harder to heal.
Awesome.
And
That's good.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Well done.
Formal PT starts tomorrow, so I'll know more about how hard I can push it.
Do you know who you're gonna be working with?
I know that it's my orthopedic surgeons. Like his like practice has a PT associated with it, but I don't know the person. I'll meet.
Yeah,
him
I
or her.
assume from what I've seen in the movies that you're like, it's kind of like a personal trainer, and like this is. I feel like it's important to have like someone you're good at working with because like if I wouldn't want a woman, and it's not sexism. It's just like I don't want there to be any like, I don't know, man woman things going on. I need a dude there to be like, yeah, man, like you got to do this. Like I've had other guys come in here and afterwards they did this, and you're gonna get back in the game, and you're gonna like. I feel like I need a man boosting me up rather than a woman perhaps distracting me in some way, or like maybe I don't take something she says as seriously because like she's not a man and she has no experience at being a man. Like I feel like it matters when we're doing medical PT.
The last time I did it at this place for my ACL surgery, it was two dudes. So like we're always in like a V formation, you know? Like I'm on one leg, like doing squats, and then there's two guys like get your butt lower, chin up, you know, like just like giving you commands the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what I get tomorrow. If I don't like it,
That's great. You're swimming, by the way.
I'll
Like,
get a new
that,
one right away.
I didn't know that you were doing that much activity. That's probably the best possible thing. I mean, actually go to the doctor. Don't take this advice. I just like, off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, I mean, swimming, that's like healthy. You know, it's like,
So
and
he
it
told
probably
me to-
makes you way less frustrated by the fact that you are totally basically homebound. Like, right? Like you can just anytime be like, I got a lot of energy. I'm getting in a bad mood from it. I'm going to burn it out.
Yesterday, I literally brought over a friend to just like be the guy that I can't be. You know, we had to we buy fuel like 60 gallons a time, 30 diesel, 30 gas, and but I can't wheel those damn canisters around on crutches. I can hardly hook up a trailer, and we did that. I had two giant like 6 foot wide 0-turn mowers that were down, so we took them off to the shop to get fixed, and he was just like my partner in doing things all day long. It was super helpful. But so yeah, it's frustrating to suck at being me, but I'm in the pool doing barely any strength stuff because I'm not really. Maybe tomorrow I'll get cleared for it, but like the thing that I can't do is stand on my foot and then like go to my toe. That sort of thing. Like he made it very clear, don't do that. And so I haven't. But like, you know, flexibility, circulation, stuff like that I can do in the pool. I even do what he said not to, but I only weigh like 5 pounds because I'm neck deep in the pool. And so I do that. But anyway, so I'm working crazy hard at it. My weight has not risen, but it hasn't dropped. I was 197 this morning. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I just kind of rationalize it. I'm like, all right, if you're going to have a setback and the only back you go is staying still for 6 weeks, it could be worse. So
Yeah, if you stay paused at your current weight until it's over and don't gain anything, I would consider that a win, considering your injury.
yeah. So I'm eating clean. I just do less, and that's where I am.
I'm down to like
22, 25.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking low. Like
It's
100.
flat Stanley over there.
It's less than it's less than 160. I think I'm gonna get on
Taco
Taylor.
Bell, my friend.
Taylor. Oh, I'm eating so much now. Taylor
Yeah?
sent me over some documentation. I'm starting on his cycle. I think that's gonna help get things boosted, get things fired up. So,
His
but yeah,
cycle, huh?
I've been eating
Yep.
so much beef. I got I had forgotten, but I had this thing from Omaha Steaks. There's like a giant thing of frozen burgers, and I'm eating like 2 at a time, like a couple times a day. So I'm eating so many fucking hamburgers. They're so delicious.
So what
They're
are you
so
at now?
delicious.
To hear
Like
you work on your
162.
weight gain is like
Less than
hearing a
160.
person with too much money. Like, oh my God, you know, I've been going to strip clubs, renting private jets. It's really a workload for me.
I feel the exact same. Kyle, you said 165?
No. Like 160, maybe less. Like I haven't weighed myself in a couple days, but last time I weighed. Let me go check. I want to know exactly. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
But I totally get what you mean, Woody, about when people bitch about not being able to gain weight. Like when I go on fitness Reddits or like progress pics or whatever for motivation, and I see someone who's like, yeah, I weigh 141 right now and I'm 6 feet tall, really trying to put on like 30 pounds. Like, I don't have even a millionth of the empathy for them as I do for someone who's like, I'm 100 pounds overweight and I'm really trying to cut down. Because like, for me, I have never had an experience that would allow me to empathize with someone trying to gain weight. Every time I gain weight, it's always like, oh no, what have you, like, I know when I'm gaining weight because it'll be like, how many Cheez-Its and salty snacks have you had? Oh, every night this week? You think you want to hop on that? You want to hop on the scale? No, of course you don't. Why not? Because you know you're getting fat.
Dude,
Like,
so my list of empathy goes like this. The person I feel the most for is the one who's like, they were 200 pounds overweight and now they're like 70 pounds overweight. Like, go you. Like I'm most on your side. The one who wants to gain, the one you have no empathy for, is my second place. The one I have no empathy for is the one who's like 300 pounds and still 300 pounds and continues to be 300 pounds, says they're trying but is clearly lying to you. And because like I've gained, everyone here has gained weight at one point. you know how you did it. Like, you were there
Yeah.
for all of it. The lies you tell me about how you skip breakfast and all you have for lunch is some lean chicken and for dinner just a salad. Horseshit. Horseshit. You
Lies.
didn't get fat on that. You didn't. Yeah, we all know you didn't, you pancake loving motherfucker. So, yeah.
Yeah,
That-
you see that on really really like fat people who are body positive, which is just code word for lazy. Or like real body positivity should be like, I was born with one arm. I need to learn to love myself anyway because there's nothing I can do about this. Or, oh, I was born a dwarf. So I gotta love myself anyway and try not to beat myself up all the time. But
Yeah, don't be
if
so
you're
grumpy.
just don't be so grumpy. I'd work out more if I wasn't so.
Don't be so sleepy. But congratulations to you
If
on
you
your
could be more of
doctorate.
if you could be more of a happy or a doc, you really like that. You're being a real grumpy today. Like next lawsuit inbound.
Kyle, what do you
like-
weigh?
Oh, yeah,
160, 160 with my t-shirt and underwear.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you in your
Kyle.
underwear
That's
right now?
So unfair.
No, but I stripped real quick.
Okay. Yeah. No, when I weigh in, I will go full nude all the way. All I wear is this stupid compression sock.
Like Daniel Cormier, you're like pressing on the towel a little bit too.
Yeah. And
Kyle, you've
sometimes
got-
I'll. Oh, did you want to say something?
You can eat 140,000 calories over your maintenance before you reach my weight.
Mhm.
140,000.
It's
Can
not.
you imagine how many Cheez-Its and treats and snacks and fun things you can fit in there?
So
I
many.
can't imagine it, but I could calculate it. It's a whole fucking bunch.
Yeah.
It's like 100 boxes of Cheez-Its that I could eat right now and just
More than
just
that.
fine. Yeah. 1,000 calories in a box, 1,400 in a box.
I haven't done
It
that
doesn't
math in a
matter. It
while. I've
doesn't
been
matter.
very good. I haven't bought Cheez-Its in probably 5 months.
Yeah, I've been eating Oreos and Chips Ahoy cookies, and like I'll just get in bed and like they're split into 3 sections. The whole thing is like in the box there's 3 like rows of them, and I'll eat an entire row with like a mug of milk, like in just one sitting. I do that almost every day.
Oh man, that sounds good.
Milk
It's
is
so
Well,
good.
I'll see you at 170 soon, or you'll be at 170 soon. I'll never see 170 again.
not a lot, but I have had a glass of milk here and there, mostly because I broke my bones and it's supposed to be a thing. It's part of
Yeah,
the bro
prob-
science I'm following.
Yeah, and after you told me that-
milk.
After you told me they added sugar to any milk that's not whole milk, I'm like, well,
Right.
it's whole milk forever now because it tastes the best.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's definitely
Every
the
piece of
best.
that. And apparently your body doesn't convert fat into fat as easily or readily as it converts sugar into fat.
There you
So
go.
they say
Yeah,
that's
whole
the
milk.
one. Yeah.
Maybe buttermilk is the way to go, really, or whipping cream.
All
I'll
right,
be-
keep it under control.
Or
Pour some
just
heavy whipping cream on my
maybe
cereal.
Cool Whip.
Whipping cream.
God damn, that's good.
Dude, I would judge anyone harshly who eats cereal with whipping cream.
That's where I put my-
What is
that's
that?
where I put
Ready
my
Whip,
coffee.
right? Where you just tip the
Yeah,
can
Ready Whip.
up
Well,
and-
no, like I'm talking about like it's called heavy whipping cream. It's a little thing of cream,
I
but it's
understand.
the kind of
I just
you know,
went
you
next
whip
level
it
with
into-
it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love
it's for,
Ready
like
Whipped.
baking and shit.
Yeah,
Dude,
that
I
totally
had
is.
stoner friends in high school who worked at a grocery store purely for its access to Ready Whip, and they would do
Oh, they're doing the
whippets.
nitrous.
Yeah, the nitrous oxide. They get high on it in the back room.
Yeah, Howard Stern did an embedded thing where they sent someone to a Fish concert, and I guess like I'd never known about whippets, but there was a guy walking around with a tank, like a
Mm-hmm.
scuba tank of nitrous oxide, and a sign that says like $5 a hit,
Yep.
and he's just filling balloons up and handing them to people for $5 a piece. And
I've done
after the
that.
show, the ground is littered with balloons, thousands and thousands of, and it's like, oh my god, did that guy just turn like $30 worth of nitrous into $10,000?
Dude, so
They
I'm
probably did.
I'm at a Steve Miller concert, and the opener was Eric Johnson, the Cliffs of Dover guy, and there's a guy selling whippets. Now I don't do drugs, mostly, I guess, based on this story, but I'm like, nitrous oxide, the same stuff the dentist gives you, that makes it not a drug. You know, like
This guy looks like a dentist.
Morphine.
clearly,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, like the dentist has administered it, and I seem to be fine. So yeah, I did whippets at a Steve Miller concert once.
Yeah,
I've never tried whippets. I walked into my kitchen once during like maybe like a freshman in college party over one of those breaks where you're back with friends, and I didn't know these people, but it was at my house, and I walked back into the kitchen to grab something, and these two guys were standing next to my open fridge, like both like angled towards the inside, and I was just like, "Hey, help you with something?" And they turned around, and this dude had Ready Whip on his upper lip, and I was like, "Are you guys doing whippets out of my mom's refrigerator with her Ready Whip or whipped cream or whatever it was?" And they were like, "Yeah." I was like, "Just please stop. Like, just go back outside." And I went over and grabbed the Ready Whip thing just to feel it. Have you ever felt a container that it has no nitrous oxide in it anymore and all of the Ready Whip in it? You just have to throw it away because you can't get anything out of it. So I was like, holy shit, like these guys, what assholes? Like, who would do that at someone else's house? I don't know what it like.
It gets worse when you do it at the grocery store and sell them.
Hey, that guy at Publix gives you such a hard time. Bitch.
That's one step above huffing computer duster.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Is that a thing?
dude.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing for retarded people. That shit. All right, so they put an additive in there that makes it. First of all, never done it because that's insane. I remember watching a Cops one time where this guy was huffing paint and he was all homeless and ruined, and they were like, the cops were like, "What happened, buddy?" Because he's real beat up. He's like, "Some kids threw me off a bridge." And they're like, "What?" "Yeah, I was passed out, and some kids came along and threw me off the bridge over there." And they're like, "Fuck!" And I was like, "This is the life of someone who huffs paint. Never huff paint." So. Yep. I've used that duster, that spray canned air to like dust off all my electronics and stuff, like my TV and stuff. I'm just blowing all the dust off and stuff, and the air gets saturated with this stuff, and you start tasting it, and it's like the bitter part of a pecan. It's so bitter and awful tasting, and I learned that they put that in there to keep people from huffing it, and it lingered in my mouth the same way that the one time ever that I accidentally sprayed deodorant in my mouth, and it's that same kind of it's on my tongue and it won't come off now. It's terrible.
What an effective anti-perspirant.
Yeah.
I can't even salivate.
I can't use spray deodorant. Doesn't stand a chance.
For a man, but made for a woman. God damn.
I can't use the clear kind. It has to be that. It has to come from a white powder stick, and almost all of those work fine.
Totally agree with you.
If it's like a clear roll-on, like liquidy type thing,
gel stuff and sprays don't work at all for me, at least.
Yeah, I use a white one too. But you know, I accidentally purchased a gel, and it's like, well, I'm gonna go through this whole. I'm not gonna throw it away. Like it's $3. But you know, for like months, I'm using it. It's like I gotta like tap it with a towel. Yeah. Like after I put it on, it's like there's 2 steps to putting this deodorant on.
I had that same cheap experience, except that I would base it on the day. Like, all right, well, today's just an office day at Cisco. Clear gel it is. Oh, we're gonna be outside working. Break out the white powder.
If I get a little BO at Cisco, this will do nothing but endear me to my coworkers. Oh, you better watch us now, Mr. Woodward. We're all walking around, stinking up the break room.
That's funny.
We should probably wrap.
Yeah.
All right. PKN episode 159.